Hello and welcome to another casual Saturday here in the Reiki studio. It's Daniel with Advanced Angel Cards here today with Eileen.
Hello.
Now Eileen is a angel intuitive and I guess you'd sum yourself up as a medium. She's been getting intuitive messages for some time now, but her journey all began really with a pendulum. Well, it began with Reiki, but it really began with the pendulum, and it's in particular a interesting, unique pendulum. And Eileen, why don't you tell us about your journey with the pendulum?
Sure. Well, I never imagined I would ever hold a pendulum or work with a pendulum. In fact, this was completely placed in my hand by Gail Thackeray. She was at a Mind, Body, Spirit Expo, and she's a very world-renowned international medium, and she's wonderful. She works directly with John of God. She brings tours down to Brazil, and she also brings back the blessed crystals from the Casa. And this pendulum was part of the blessed crystals, and everyone at the workshop got a pendulum. So she said you can connect to spirit using this pendulum. Mm-hmm. So I tried it, and I was shocked. I was blown away because first of all, I know a lot of people were there and they were trying to get it to move, and I held it and it just started going wild, and I thought it was yes or no, and that's what Gail had taught at the time. Since then, intuitively, I've been able to discover that they're giving an entire language through this pendulum to be of service, to give readings to others, and to be of help.
Right. And you have quite an extensive language. In fact, they've given you tools for medical diagnosis, almost like a medical intuitive, and issues as far as, or language symbols as far as months and days and male and female, grandparents, uncles. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, well basically, when you start with the pendulum and you get it to swing, you'll see later, I believe we're going to be doing a demonstration. That, yeah. But when I started seeing the symbols other than yes or no, I was very confused because I didn't really ask for these symbols. So I had to ask, what is this? What does this mean? What I noticed was every time I worked with a friend or family member, it would show me a new symbol, and then it would be related to what they were speaking of.
So it actually taught you the language. It developed itself through the situation you were getting a reading about, and then that's how it translated into words for you. This symbol meant that.
Exactly. And a lot of people will talk about the pendulum being something that's subconscious. But the interesting thing is when you have someone you don't know, like a complete stranger, and you start talking about spiritual things, and I told him about the pendulum. I had one woman say, show me, brought it out, and the pendulum showed me the symbol for happy birthday. And I said, oh, happy birthday. One of your relatives is saying happy birthday. And she just was blown away because she said, well, how do you know that? So that's where I cannot say that the pendulum is your subconscious, because how would my subconscious know to wish someone else a happy birthday? Right. So it's pretty interesting.
And with all things in spiritual nature, especially when we talk about divination tools, oracle cards, angel cards, tarot cards, pendulums, Ouija boards, anything of a dowsing nature, there's always going to be the naysayers and those who don't understand it, therefore fear it, whatever the case may be. The sources at work here, the things that play here, call it spirit, God, angels, guardians, whatever resonates with you most is what's helping you out. And It's an interesting tool. It's definitely a tool to connect. And in fact, we're going to be doing some workshops together. And Eileen's going to be hosting here on the channel. I'll have it up as one of our workshop classes that you can join to be a part of, about protect and connect with the pendulum. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, basically, when you connect yourself, you are, think of it as the spiritual gym. You are flexing your intuition muscle. So I never understood connecting directly to source and getting information. I was always watching the pendulum spin. When I put the pendulum down for a while, I just wasn't feeling sure on what I was doing. We all have those times where I wanted to make sure, was I doing this correctly? But that time allowed me to connect without the pendulum. So I believe that from the use of the pendulum initially, I was able to intuitively learn how to connect. Now that I'm connecting, I can pick up the pendulum and I'll know what's intuitively coming in as well as new symbols. So before, when I would see a new symbol, and I still do this, I have to confirm if it's correct or not. Recently, I see a new symbol and I know with a capital K in knowing that it is what Spirit wants me to say. So I say it.
Absolutely. And I experienced very much the same thing with the angel cards.
Yes.
And Radleigh Valentine co-authored the angel cards with Doreen, who I worked with all this stuff, used that same kind of terminology, as have several other people we've worked with, that these are just tools that we use as our kind of safety net. Because whether we feel we can't connect directly or we're maybe a little cautious about connecting directly, these tools are our safety net, but they do, in fact, teach us how to connect. In fact, similar to the pendulum, with the angel cards, as I started doing readings, I'd pull a card, and it wasn't so much about the words on the card or the imagery on the card, but more I was getting direct information that was relevant to that individual person's situation. And that's what's amazing about these things. Are wonderful tools. Now, recently, we've been working together a lot. And this is all taking a slight angelic twist, which is very important, regardless of how individual sees the realms, spirits, gods, spirits, guardians, gods, goddesses, however an individual's reality projects. The angels are important factors, and we identify them as angels and archangels, but they are so much more than that, more than we could ever understand. But it's a nice, safe term for us, and it's a safe term for when we're working with other people. And this has taken an angelic turn in that you have now, or you have been, but more, you've been moved more into a service position by the angels to help people on their journey to connect with their angels, their guardians, learn who their archangels are, and what they want for them. So tell us a little bit about the angelic symbols and stuff that you've been working on.
Well, the angels actually, this is what I'm feeling right now, wants me to remind everyone that because, as Daniel said, this is a tool, something that's important, we can eat our food without a fork, right? And it sounds simple, but if we pick up the fork, maybe it's less messy, okay? So I think they're urging me to remind everyone that you have to cleanse your tools, just like you would cleanse your cards, correct? I cleanse the pendulum every use.
Yes.
Every use.
And we'll get more into that with the protect section of the Protect and Connect. Back to the archangels. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's fine.
Back to the archangels. Tell us about the symbols and how you've been working with the angels in particular.
When they first came through, they came through in a beautiful symbol. And I was working with a woman who's an artist, and she was helping me draw this symbol out on regular paper. It was coming through, and I used my hand as a guide, almost like a map or a key, and I'm able to see all the little nuances. And it was very beautiful. It looked like petals, and we were putting it together, but it wasn't quite a flower. And what's very fascinating is at that time I did not know the symbol of the seed of life.
The 6 petals that we see everywhere, Gaiam TV.
Yes, Gaiam TV
the
logo.
interlocking circles that make the 6-petaled flower.
And the seed of life is what they were trying to show me and teach me. And each angel took on a petal. When I would see that petal, I would know which angel was working through me, and maybe possibly had a message at the time, and it gets clearer all the time. This is the way I would describe it, and I think the angels, Archangel Michael actually, I believe, is responsible for this. If you were to learn a language, we speak English and we want to learn Italian, you're not going to be fluent in that language right away. But since I've been doing this about 2 years now officially, I'm getting to the point where I really now understand, so we can keep easily adding on words to the language.
Absolutely. It'll be like anything where you get dumped into a foreign country. You pick up the essentials and learn the finesses later.
Yes.
I would like to actually move towards your demonstration here. So let's first talk about protecting, and in that protecting, maybe what you do before a session and then I can kind of talk about the similarities that I use with the cards. And then after the session, you're speaking about the cleansing. Tell us about that.
So I definitely ask for only the absolute highest good and highest truth to come through this pendulum. Nothing that is, anything less. Archangel Michael, I ask him to stand beside me as I call upon the angels and guides and guardians to help assist me, for also the person that's in front of me. And for that person, it doesn't have to be in front of me. It can be over the phone. Energy can be anywhere, as we know. And I ask that their angels and guides step forward and we can communicate in a safe space.
Yes.
And again, only the highest good ever. Archangel Michael has really given me a feeling of safety.
Yes.
And
That's
I needed that feeling of safety to move ahead, because there's been several times I put down the pendulum because I didn't understand the symbol I was getting, and I automatically, the conditioned human response is I got fearful, put it down. But then as it integrated and I realized it's a learning process, pick it back up and learn it. It would eventually, every time I would learn the symbol, and it was always for my highest good to teach me.
And they have a sense of humor, and I imagine there's times that they'll toy with us a little bit, or if we're asking about stuff that maybe isn't for our highest good, they may kind of tweak it a little bit.
Well, I don't want to say toy because it almost sounds, but I know where you're going with that. I think what you wanted to say was maybe it's like, listen, are you sure you want to ask that question? Are you in absolute humility? Are you humbled? Are you in awe of this gift and this tool? Are you of service? And if you're not being of service in that moment, very much like Ouija boards and things that you can use to connect, but it's not the best. We've all heard the stories.
Yeah,
so
vibrationally, especially Ouija boards, which were created. I'm not downing Ouija boards for any Ouija board fans out there, but the historical fact with the Ouija board, it was developed by a Frenchman to communicate with lower vibrational beings. I'm not going to get into terminology, demons, devils, what have you, but very low vibrational beings. So typically, that, like the tarot cards, has come across with a very fearful thing. There's many people that use that for proper communication and are protected well. So I'm not putting down the Ouija board, but any tool, you certainly can connect to a lower vibrational entity. So we must always be in protection. Now, one of the tools we use for that is the unity prayer.
Yes.
Which we've really become accustomed to a lot through Paul Selig, wonderful author and channel.
And I'd recommend that to your viewers. I Am the Word. If you haven't read it, please understand that it's a life-changing book.
Yeah, so he's a brilliant man, and I'm giving him a free plug here. He is author of I Am the Word, the Book of Love and Creation, and the Book of Knowing and Worth. All channel text by his Angelic Collective, whom he simply refers to as the guides, because, like on my experience, they're not really concerned with labels and names, so they allow us to call them certain things. And he's now working on kind of the next evolution of all that, with whole new teachings coming through in this 2014, the year of rebirth, and moving onward in the coming times, where we're all just going to be evolving at such a rapid pace. It's really a good listen. And like anything, you take what resonates with you and you leave the rest behind.
Absolutely.
So, do you want to recite the unity prayer before we
Well, maybe we should do it. And this is what Paul Selig does also before he connects to the guide. So, should we start with the light of God? Okay. So, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. Wherever I am or we are, God is. The power of God protects us. And the Spirit of God watches over us. And then I ask...
Traffic.
Sorry about that. Then I ask always for Archangel Michael to come into our space and protect us and surround us with the white light of the Christ consciousness protection.
And that's how I start mine with the cards off the way. I'll do something along the lines of, in the presence of Father, Mother, God, and under the careful watch of the white light of Christ and Archangel Michael, I ask to be protected and receive messages from the Angelic Collective to come now and integrate into me fully. So it's always good to ask for these protections. And Archangel Michael is a wonderful one. Everyone knows at this point, so I can't use this for the demonstration, but Michael is my primary Archangel. And that's my go-to guy. I work with several directly, but he is definitely the one. And
Whoa. That's actually loosening up the stone. That's never happened, and it's happening here on camera.
well, that's interesting.
I don't know if that's
don't mess with it. We
I
will
know.
stay together until we're done here.
If it comes apart, that'll be interesting.
It's getting very loud. I hope that's not crackling too bad.
Okay.
Live recording. What can you do? So again, we're gonna get started here.
Wow.
So it's important always to do these protections. Now you were talking about afterwards about cleansing it, which is also part of the protection. In that any energies that may have infused into that crystal, which its whole purpose is to hold energy,
Right.
to release it. So tell us about how you cleanse your pendulum.
So basically, just for everyone out there, we use the reference of a fork. You're not going to use the same fork if you eat dinner the next night. So just think of it like that. It's going to have gook on it. You got to cleanse it, and you clear it, and you start fresh. And do whatever is right, intuitively. If you feel like you want to run it underwater, if you feel like you want to put it in the sun, you want to bury it in the earth, it doesn't matter. Whatever resonates with you. And I will tell you that if I am to use another pendulum, that if this breaks, it's time for a new one. And that's okay. Yeah. Because sometimes we're led to what we have to do next.
It's almost like this broadcast where we're bragging about it. It's almost said, well, my service is done because we're now doing maybe what we were supposed to do all along. And
we don't want our assumptions to come in.
Right,
either.
But I have crystals all the time. This has a huge, clean through all the way. At any given moment, the point's just going to fall right off of this. And that's a natural process of rock and crystal. And when it happens, what we've been told by other spiritual leaders and all is that that's just the sign that that's served its purpose. And now it's time for something new. So
are you ready?
Yeah.
So what are we
one
going
thing
to
I wanted
do
to
here?
add to the cleansing real fast is
Yes.
I know water is a good option for any crystal that's not below a certain grade, a certain hardness level, like selenite, for instance. You put that in water, it'll melt.
It'll dissolve.
So there are other options. You had talked about sun, earth, things like that.
Yeah, whatever really feels right to the person using it.
Right. I know with the angel cards, they say moonlight, sunlight, or other crystals. There's certain crystals that don't ever need to be cleaned or cleansed. Oftentimes you can just lay those crystals on them.
And like we're finding out, really, if you read something online and it doesn't match up with anything you're feeling, do what feels right, because you are unique and you have the divine within you to answer those questions. So
we're going to...
Before this pendulum separates, let's
I'm going to flip to the pendulum cam here, so you can try to see a little bit of how it's moving.
Okay, so as you can see, it goes right into... right now this state of waiting for a question. But
and
obviously...
for you, that's a straightforward and back, but for others it may be different.
And actually it's taking me on a journey here. It's going to this position here that somebody is with us in spirit. Now, something that I learned recently that I'm excited to share with you guys, it takes me, if you notice, to now it's over the fingers. And it's showing me almost like a circular, triangular thing. I'm sure you can see that there. That is my symbol now for a body, a human body. And it allows me to, when I'm reading someone, and again, as a medium, you have to just show up and sit in the chair. And with the pendulum, excuse me, I'm going to get my hair out of my face. With the pendulum, when you show up and sit in the chair, you're reading the symbols, the language that, again, after 2 years, I'm becoming much more fluent in.
And to be clear, body being like anatomically speaking, not that there's a body in the woods somewhere.
Right. So
we're clear.
This is a human body, and usually it would be of the person in front of me or something that wants to be said. Now, it's going to take me to show me what's next. Okay. Now, when I first learned this symbol, that is leg. I thought naturally it was the right leg because it was on my hand. But what I learned was, no, that's not the right leg, it's the left leg because it's the person in front of you. And this is really helpful if somebody had knee surgery or, actually, it's funny that I just said that because here you go. They're showing me in between that line there is a small circle. That small circle is representing the knee. So it's really, really clever and beautiful how this language is. I want to make something clear to all the viewers that your language, they're showing me now, this would be considered the right leg. I want you to know that your language would be different. It would be specific to what you would learn through your pendulum.
And again, this is well advanced. This is we'll go over the basics in a little bit.
However, the symbols here, if they resonate and if it comes through your pendulum, it's meant to be.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You could ask to be show or what your version of these symbols are, and they'll gladly show you.
Right.
But most people starting out do yes, no, maybe, that sort of thing.
So here we're still with the human body, and it's showing me the right leg, and it's taking me through the right knee. Okay, and again, they know that we're not working with anybody here, that we're doing this for demonstration purposes.
Well, I'm wondering if someone isn't here and they're using that to use as a identifying factor, like with somebody who had bad knees.
No, actually, when I asked ahead of time, it was just for demonstration purposes.
Oh, okay.
So
there's not physically spirit.
There's always spirit and angels with us.
I'm talking about for this reading then.
No, and this is just to show.
I was unaware she had set that intention privately. Right, I got excited. I thought, somebody's here with bad knees.
No. So here, as you can see, the circle. Remember what that human body was like, a triangle. This circle is perfectly placed on top of the triangle, which naturally would be the head of the person that we're looking at. Head, face. I'm not into the details yet. Nose, eyes, mouth. Maybe we'll get there. But what you could do is with a person that's getting this symbol, you could say, okay, have you been having something around your face or your head? Headaches or something, to do with anything around the face. And you know what? You'll be surprised how many people, if they are having an issue, will understand exactly what you're talking about. So it's taking me back down, and what's interesting is I'm following this tutorial because, again, I'm letting the angels come through and teach.
Yeah.
So
you can get a better idea of,
exactly
how you can use it other than yes, no, or maybe.
So here we just looked at the head. So now they're taking us to the shoulders. This is the shoulders, but in the center of this line, and I knew they were going there next, is the neck. Okay. Now that would look like the head because it was a circle. But please show us the head again. If you notice, the head is higher and it's a larger circle. Please show the neck. It's a smaller circle. When I asked, please show the shoulders.
Camera shot.
What's that?
That's showing up perfect. I'm looking at the camera shot. That's showing up wonderfully.
When I say please show the shoulders, you can see that, again, look at the shoulders. And if you go to the neck, it's a perfect in the center of those shoulders. Yeah. So it makes complete sense.
I'm watching how it lines up.
I did not make these symbols up. They came through. And the eloquence and beauty of it blew me away. I will say that. Okay, so now they're taking us down. Okay. They're showing you the hips or pelvic area. So this is the hips, and again, it's all going with that triangular body. So show me the body symbol. Okay, so the body symbol is almost like this triangle that it's doing. And then if you go and you say, where are the hips again, please? You can see that it's at the base of that triangle, really comes across that. So it's perfect. So they're taking me up, actually. Okay. I just learned this recently. This is a lung. They are showing me a symbol for a lung. When I see it on this side, again, it looks like my right, but I would have to say it's the person's left lung. So I imagine, yep, they're doing it. They're going to show the right lung. So here we go, and isn't that beautiful? They're drawing the lungs. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And as a medium, when you have someone that's suffering and you cannot look inside their body and you see, okay, there's something with the right lung. Your angels are bringing this to my attention, and, the readings go from there. So they're back again here above the head. And this is the crown chakra. They're showing the energy center above the head. So it's really, okay. Now they're taking us through the body. As you can see, it kind of does this zigzag curly up and down. When it's showing this, it's showing the alignment of chakras, because the chakras are completely a straight line through the body.
Relatively speaking.
Relatively. I don't know if I know this one. It's like dividing it up the center. You know what? Is this spine as well? So I'm going to ask that. Okay. So it was perfect because the nuance of it, I have another symbol for spine, and I have some, it's interesting. I have, actually, I might be able to say back. Is that what you would like or prefer me to say? Okay. They're teaching me here. I'm gaining this symbol as we're here recording. So show me again the symbol for someone if they have back problems, please. So look at that. It spans that triangle. If you were to draw out that other triangle of the human body, there is the perfect line.
Which makes perfect sense.
Which makes perfect sense.
And it's different than the curly Q line, which represents the chakras, obviously, little tornadoes of energy.
So it's coming here. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's coming here, and I learned this earlier as well. This symbol is liver. And they take me to this next side to show me kidney. They're very similar, small shapes. Now, it might be hard on the camera to see, but I've learned the nuances, and it's so slight of a change. So for instance, show me right lung, please. Okay, so the right lung, if you can see, is kind of like lung-shaped. But if I ask, show me the symbol for kidney, ever so slightly, it almost looks like the same shape, but they bring it down.
So these symbols really, like all of the language, has developed to a very complex system of symbols for you to basically, at this point, almost take on the role of a medical intuitive.
And they're saying yes, and that's actually funny because I haven't heard the term medical intuitive, but we all have...
Well, we've heard the term, but not associated to this
Not
form.
associated to using the pendulum.
Now, I'd like to try something if we could.
Okay.
I would like to try to get... we can't ask anything personal about each other because we know those answers.
Right.
Let me ask the Angelic Collective if there's, or you know what, we'll make it easier. Let's do some angel stuff. So let's ask which angels are here with us now, specifically.
They're already there.
Separate from the collective, who are stepping out to work with us as they do when we do this work. So let's see who's here with us right now, working with us, doing this work.
Well, it already went to Archangel Michael. And when I see that petal, that symbol there, that is always Michael, and it's also the symbol for protection, which is very fitting.
Which is Michael.
Okay. Also, they're taking me over here, which is Metatron. Metatron and Michael seem to come in.
Well, they work hand in hand. Metatron and Michael both are directly associated with life purpose together as a team. So it makes sense that they work together.
Okay, if you guys are wondering what this symbol is, this symbol, I know this symbol in my language as they are watching over. So they're watching over this process right now. Is basically what they want us to know.
Which makes perfect sense because they asked us to do this.
As you see this big circle, this is an excited yes. And then they go right back to what they were teaching. But why it's an excited yes is when you're on track, the circle's big. When you're kind of like getting there, the circle's small. Now, it's taken me actually over here to the symbol of peace. And what's interesting is that they're showing me this symbol is all is well, and that's always the message of peace, which is very fitting for the angels to come through and give the message of peace. They're also taking me to the center and closing this session, which is interesting because there might be questions on this video. If you have questions or specific needs, if you want a reading, we are doing this now. This is something that I never thought I would be doing, but I would like to be of service, and they can comment on my video or your video or however you want to do it.
You can reach out to us at the Advanced Angel Cards. We'll go over at the end.
Yes.
But the amazing thing is
the session there, so that's my symbol for closing the session.
Well, that's okay. We'll go back to the regular camera, and that worked out very well. I'm just hoping that this is the first time we've done this. Well, I have 3 different cameras set up and a separate mic. I'm hoping everything went smoothly. I saw the mic peaked a few times. Hopefully, it didn't crackle too bad. But we're doing this because we were told to do this, and we will probably continue. Aside from the normal angel card readings and stuff, we'll probably start doing more of this interview format type stuff to bring you information, and we certainly will be starting some workshops. So to kick off the fall season, I will be doing a angel card, well, oracle card primer, kind of angel cards or oracle cards 101, if you will. And Eileen will be doing a pendulum 101. Both will go over protection and cleansing, how to handle, store, pick out, all those things. And they'll be relatively brief, 30 to 45 minutes more than likely. They may go over. We don't know yet how the messages come through us. But if you are interested in readings, whether it be with myself, with the angel cards and channeling, or with Eileen with her pendulum and intuitive angelic messages that she gets, feel free. You can reach out to us at advancedangelcards.com. Our information's on there, and you can email us straight from there, or you can email us at Daniel at advancedangelcards.com. And I will be generating actually a link for you, Eileen at advancedangelcards.com.
Okay.
Also on Facebook, facebook.com/Advanced Angel Cards, which this video will be posted to. The link will be on YouTube, youtube.com/users/Advanced Angel Cards. So you can get in touch with us a lot of ways. One of the newer ways that we have is the Google Voice Angel Hotline, which is 747-444, angel number 1022. And that rings directly through to us. So anyway, if you chose to reach out, anyone who has a question or wants more information can certainly post a comment under the video, either in Facebook or on YouTube, and we'll do our best to get back to you. Now, obviously, we can't get into 200 free readings here, but we certainly can help where we can. And it's been wonderful talking to you and doing this little process, and I have a suspicion that they have many more for us in store. And as usual, it's with love and gratitude and always of service that we come to you today, and we thank you for joining us.
Thank you.